Hello, everyone. Today's topic for the day is you are not blocked from your manifestations. You're just simply not ready to receive them yet. And so today we're going to talk about the Receivability Index. Now, something that I would love for everybody to understand is that this is Manifestation 101. It's going to feel like a high level concept. But I promise you, if you get this concept, if you integrate this concept, you are already going to unlock so many manifestations in your life if you follow the pattern, if you follow the protocol here. Okay. So it's not just about wanting more. It's about understanding and becoming available for those manifestations. Because, fun fact, 1 in 6 NFL players go broke. They file for bankruptcy. 1 in 6. Now, you would think people who play for the NFL, millionaires, set for life, but that's not the case. I mean, you've heard about people going bankrupt when they win the lottery. You would think set for life, but that's not the case. If you've got the patterns that keep you going broke, that's not going to change when you win the lottery. If you've got behavioral patterns that keep you being single, then when you have a partner, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a wife, a husband, you will go back to being single. So let's talk about it. So there is a gap. Now, I absolutely love this because we always think, I want this thing. And in order to get this thing, I got to work harder. I got to do more. I got to be more. I have to, like, the stress of having to do more, like the hustle culture of it is wild. And it's more journaling, more meditation, more spiritual work. But that's not really what it is. Like you have a deep desire for something, but yet it's not coming true. It's not coming to life. And you just don't understand why. Now, the real question that you have to start asking yourself is, can I hold this thing? If right now I got every single thing I wanted, would I be able to keep it? Would I be able to hold this thing? I recently ran a class, not recently, I think it was actually last year. I ran a class and I was coaching somebody and she wanted more business. She wanted maybe 10x her business. And I said, wonderful. Okay. If you had all of that tomorrow, what would you feel? She was like, oh, I'd feel so overwhelmed. You know why that is? Because she hasn't built up the structures. She hasn't built up the processes. She hasn't built up her internal nervous system to be able to handle 10x of her capacity right now. So while yes, strive for more, but be real with yourself and ask, can I actually hold this? So it's not the desire that's the problem. The problem is that we want something, or we think we want something that is going to fulfill a part of us that we just don't have the capacity to have right now. Okay, so let's keep going. So let's talk about the Teachability Index. So the Teachability Index, I'm sure that you've heard of this. This is about information and learning. And the questions that it gives you is, are you willing to learn? And are you willing to change? So information-based, are you willing to learn? Are you willing to do podcasts? Are you willing to go to classes? Are you willing to read books? Are you willing to absorb information? Are you willing to learn from people? Are you willing to learn more about the world and how it operates? And then, are you willing to change? Are you willing to become a new person? Are you willing to change your mind? Are you willing to say things differently? Are you willing to think things differently? And the limitation to this, in my opinion, is you can learn every method, but if your identity at its fundamental core, I know that's redundant, if your identity is resistant to it, then your manifestations are dead in the water. So the Receivability Index, to me, is more about aligning ourselves with who we truly are. So it's about transformation and becoming and allowing these things into our lives, receiving. So the two questions that we're going to ask is, how willing are you to see? And we're going to get into this because how willing are you to see not only who you are now, who you were in the past, who you will be in the future, willing to look at it all. And how willing are you to shift? Now, what is the difference between a change and a shift? Change means this thing is done. This thing is over. I'm willing to pivot 100%. Now, to me, shift is twofold. One, it's a small correction in the course of where you're going. So instead of heading straight, it might be turning 1 degree and then that actually hypercharging your manifestations. Or it could actually be an internal shift, an internal way of, oh, I thought about something like this. Let me shift my perception by 1%, and you're going to get radically different results. So it's not about this complete pivot. It's about integrating a new idea, new concept, new way of thinking, and bringing that into alignment. This is what we have. We don't have an information problem. The internet is a wealth of information. You want to talk to rich people? There are rich people online. You want to talk to happily married people? There are happily married people online. You want to talk to people who've had children after 40? There are people online who've had children after 40. You want people who have started a business? There are people who have started businesses in every sector online, and you can have access to them readily. There are so many people out there giving information. So that's not what the problem is. The problem is the identity. How do we identify who we are in order to align ourselves with our manifestation? So this is a fun little number to calculate. Now, this number, it's not the end all be all. This number, for all intents and purposes, really means nothing except to give you a place to start, okay? So we're going to talk about what it means to see. We're going to talk about what it means to shift, and we're going to calculate these numbers at the end. But what I want you to know is that through all of this, I do not expect you to think that you are perfect at seeing and perfect at shifting. Because the moment you think that you're perfect in those areas, you've already gone to a 0. The moment you think, oh, I see everything already, you're not willing to see. If you think, oh, I'm willing to shift everything right now, you're not willing to shift anything right now. We're going to talk about that too. So I love this. I love this. I love this quote. It's wanting is not the same as becoming. People want the miracle, but they don't want the mirror. Oh, and let me tell you, the mirror, that's how you manifest. But we'll get into that in a second. Okay, so seeing. How willing are you to see? Seeing is radical honesty. Radical honesty with yourself. The power comes back to you when you take radical responsibility for everything in your life. I'm going to say that again. Power comes back to you when you take radical responsibility for everything in your life. Not just the good, not just the beautiful. You got to take on the bad and the ugly too. Now, that might seem unfair. That might seem like, oh, but I didn't mean for that traumatic thing to happen. However, once you realize that you can actually shift anything in your life, once you realize how much power you actually have, taking on the responsibility of those negative things that happen to you, that's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. Because then you get to create more beautiful. You get to create more beauty. You get to create more love, more joy, more happiness, more money, more freedom, more security. You get to create it. Okay? So even if that's not accessible to you right now, let's start with the basics. So let's start with seeing your patterns. How do you respond to discomfort? Do you shrink, people please, self-sabotage, right? When things get good, your patterns reveal what feels safe. So looking at what you do when the going gets tough and what do you do when things get really good. So it's not just about how do I behave under normal circumstances. You have to look at the pressure points. So when things get bad, do you avoid? Do you get angry? Do you, blame other people? How is it that you respond? And so you have to take a look at these patterns in the things that you're doing when things get difficult, when challenges occur. And then you also have to look at the other side of things that, when things are going great, do you self-sabotage? Do you not take credit for it? Do you say things like, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop? Yeah? Okay, these are patterns that you need to look at. You need to see your excuses. I don't have time. I'm not ready. I'm just being realistic. Man, F realistic, okay? Sometimes realistic is just fear wearing fancy new clothes, okay? Fear is false evidence appearing real. Or my favorite is F everything and run. I love that one. I love it. The problem with that is when you're using excuses, when you're externalizing the power to everyone else, you're disempowering yourself. When you're saying, oh, but the economy, oh, but the political regime, oh, but my friends, oh, but my family, oh, but society, oh, but I had this experience, oh, but my parents, oh, but my children, oh, but. When you do that, you are taking your power away. And remember, we're about taking radical responsibility. Yes, coming into that was me, that I did that. I'm going to do that. Okay. So the ultimate question here is, have you made the external obstacles more powerful than your ability to transform and become more? Externalizing your world really disempowers all your manifestations. If you're thinking, yes, I want to make $1 million, but not in this economy because, oh, I want a relationship, but the city I live in, there are no good men. Okay, I want to have children, but I'm too old. I want to start a business, but I have no time. Look at those sentences and how they are already stopping you. Okay? So take back your power and start looking at this stuff. Next, hidden commitments and old loyalties, okay? Now, here's where we start to dive in deep into looking at your identity and looking deeply at what it is that you're committed to being versus what you say you want. Let's take a look at love, right? You say you want love, but you're committed to never being vulnerable. That is like relationship 101. You say you want wealth, but you're committed to not being judged because look at all the rich people. You think that they're not being judged? They're being judged constantly. They're being like at the court of public opinion. We are judge, jury, and executioner to all the wealthy people. You want to make more money, but that comes with responsibilities. And you're committed to living a life free of responsibility. How about that one? So receiving these things might actually violate what your identity is. So you have to look at and really see what are your hidden values? What are the values that come with the things that you say that you want? What are the operating systems that are happening behind the scenes that are dictating, this is who I am. Now, I, for one, absolutely love this slide because I never thought of it as a commitment to being somebody like firmly. I always thought, oh, I'm willing to change. I'm willing to change. I'm willing to change. But really, I didn't even realize that I thought that making money was boring. I didn't realize that I thought that making money was going to put me at odds with my parents. I never realized that making money was going to put me in a position to have to learn sales. And let me tell you that that one has been like the spiritual journey of a lifetime. I tell you, the whole sales thing. Yeah, that's been crazy. But when you start to realize that you've got a loyalty to some version of you that cannot exist in your new reality, you're going to start to say, okay, how can I not only evolve, but transform. And it's not about dismissing who you are. It's not about saying, oh, this person is bad. This version of me is bad. Or I need to like kick this person to the curb. No, it's about saying, thank you. You have served a purpose. You got me to where I am today. But now it's time to explore a new version. It's time to explore what more of me could look like. And you guys drop comments in the meeting chat if you have any questions. All right, so we're gonna look at the sacred mirror here. So we're gonna look at your current reality without collapsing to blame or guilt. And this is exactly what I was just talking about, is that when you begin to start to look at your past, when you begin to look at your present, when you begin to look at your future, when you start to look at these different aspects of your life, you should not come from a place of guilt, shame, fear, anger, resentment, because that's collapsing everything. With all of these different areas of your life, it should be a sense of curiosity. It should be I wonder why I want to manifest $1 million. Let me explore that. Or, I wonder why, I have had 3 boyfriends in a row that cheated on me. Let me explore that. It should come from a place of curiosity, not from a place of, man, I am terrible because I want so much money, or I'm terrible because I want children at this ripe old age. It's like thinking about all these things and judging them, you're already putting yourself in a low vibrational state. So it always has to come from curiosity. Now, asking yourself, what is this showing me about what I believe, what I tolerate, what I currently embody? And you can even go into the past and say, what was I believing then? What was I tolerating then? What was I embodying then? And notice the difference between who you were 5 years ago. Notice who you were 10 years ago. And today, who are you? And realize that you can still change. There are other versions of you that are out there still. There are other versions of you that have yet to be brought to life. So this is not who I am forever. This is simply what my current identity is available for. So when you are manifesting and you're reaching for something more, you have to understand that right now, the current version of you is building towards that. So it's not that you're not enough. It's not that you're not capable. It's not that you're bad or you're wrong or you're broken, but you are in the position of building. So let's use a building as an example, okay? You buy the land and you start building, you start building, you start building. Halfway through, you don't say, man, you're not a building. You're not enough. You're not complete. You're broken. You say it's in process, and everybody is in process. You are in process. So you are building the capacity to be able to hold these big manifestations that you want. That's going to take a lot of work. Manifesting is easy. Becoming the person to embody those powerful manifestations is the work, is the challenge. Now, whether the challenge is good or bad, that's you judging it. Because to me, I love a challenge. I absolutely love a challenge. So when you're coming from, hey, I'm trying to build something bigger, I'm trying to expand, I'm trying to be that, where you are right now is a snapshot, and you have to examine every part of it because you want the foundation to be subtle or steady. You want the foundation to be rock solid so that the thing that you're building, the skyscraper that you're trying to build, the skyscraper that is your life that you're trying to build, is foundationally sound and that you get to keep it. So it's not there to punish you. It reveals what this next level is asking of you. It's asking you to become maybe more responsible, more disciplined, more available, more secure, more loving, all of that wonderful stuff. So next, because we've been seeing all of our stuff, right? Now we got to turn it around and start seeing others. And this is not judgment. This is discernment. What's the difference? Judgment is coming from a place of, oh, you have this thing and you're bad. You have this thing and it's ugly. You have this thing and that's no. Whereas when you come from a place of discernment, you can learn from everybody. So let's say that there's somebody who is successful in the thing that you want. Success leaves clues. You get to look at how do they act? What are some things that they believe? You can talk to them and say, hey, how does this feel? How did you get there? What did you do? What were the things that you worked on before, you got there? And you get to emulate that. You get to try it on, see what works for you and say, oh, okay, this worked. You'll find other people who are successful in it and ask them and start to see commonalities between all of them and say, oh, okay, all of them did this. Okay, maybe that's something I should work towards, something that I should become, something that I should start to move in that direction towards, because if it worked for them, then clearly it works. Now, the other part of it is looking at people who don't have what you want. And yes, you can still learn from them. As a matter of fact, you can learn a lot from them. So when you're looking at people who don't have what you want, people who are chronically failing at something, people who are chronically complaining and whining and saying, I don't have this thing, I don't have this thing, I don't have this thing. I'm not saying listen to them. I'm saying learn from them. Learn what not to do. So you see somebody who can't hold down a relationship and you're trying to look for a relationship. What is it that they do? Are they always stepping out on them? Are they always secretly jealous of other women around them? Are they sitting there and criticizing them in public? Are they talking bad about them? Are they, unavailable for them emotionally? Are they and being able to witness other people from that stance of, it's not judgment, but it's okay, if I want something and I see what not to do, well, then I'm not going to do that. So again, you can extract wisdom from everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful, all of it. Now, the discernment comes in what you implement and what you don't implement. Okay. So now we've looked at looking inside, we've looked at the past, we looked at what we want, we looked at discernment and looking at other people. And so how does this play into the framework of manifestation? Be, do, have. Okay. So in my 21-day experience, we actually reverse engineer how to do that. So let's look at it from that framework, because that's how my brain works, breaking everything down from the end and backtracking it to what we want. So let's look at what we have. So we look at, what do we want to have? Why do we want to have it? Where did that come from? Who told us that? What sneaky sort of propaganda got into our brain that implanted the idea that you wanted this thing? Do I really want this thing? Asking yourself, why do I want it? That is crucial. Okay. So now once we've taken a look at what we want, now we're going to look at, what does it take to act? What do you have to do in order to get that? Now, am I capable of doing that? Look, really seeing yourself for, do I have the skill set? Do I have the knowledge? Do I have the capacity? Do I even want to do those things? And coming from a place of okay, I see even where it is that I'm acting in direct conflict with the things that I say that I want, and seeing it for what it is, seeing, hey, these are the things that I have to add to what I'm doing, and these are the things that I have to subtract from what I'm doing, but really seeing it, examining it. And then finally, being, what you have to start looking and seeing, what do you believe? What are the hidden belief systems? How do I talk to myself? How do I talk to other people? How do I really integrate being into my life and witnessing, okay, where did those belief systems come? And, with this facet, with the receivability index, with the willingness to see, That means you have to look at every single speck of your life, every single speck, past, present, future. That means dissecting everything that you have ever done, everything that you have ever been through, all the challenges, all the heartache, all the good stuff, all the bad stuff, and being willing to look at it. Now, sometimes you might need a professional, you might need a therapist, you might need a psychotherapist, you might need a coach, you might need a mentor, you might need somebody who's going to help you guide you, like a shaman or something. Point being is that you have to be willing to look at it. Now, here are some ways in which you might be actually preventing yourself from seeing. Okay. One, saying, yeah, I don't want to look at that. Absolutely. You're dead in the water once you do that. Once you stop seeing what is happening in your life, once you start saying, no, I don't want to look at it. That one's easy because you see yourself like, I'm totally not going to look at it. Now, you might be like, oh, but it's too traumatic. It's too traumatic. Right. And I'm not saying dive in head first to the abyss of the ocean. I'm saying start to see, start that journey, start there. You don't go from 0 to 100 in milliseconds. You start at 1, you start at 2. You start at 3, and you keep going. You get momentum behind it. And just to even say that is, so when I started my journey, I put a list of people that I had a resentment against that I was going to work towards. And I made a list. There was one that was like, yeah, I can absolutely look at those right now. Ones that I can maybe look at in the future, but I'm just not comfortable with them yet. And the last one was absolutely never, not touching it. Screw them. But you know what happens is that you start out with the places that you want to look at, the places that are easily accessible. And you're like, yes, you know what? I'm willing to do it and let things happen as they may. Okay. So you start with the easy ones. You start looking at things that, okay, you know what? Maybe I can start looking at my last relationship. Maybe I can start looking at what happened at my last job. Maybe I can start looking at what happened the last time that, I went broke. And then that snowballs into the next thing and 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 the next thing. Till all of a sudden you're looking at that time that you got roofied at the club and then you woke up. Listen, okay, stuff happens. And then you woke up in a dumpster. What happened to me? I don't know, but I've examined it. I'll tell you that much. That I have been through some stuff and I have examined all of it. I have examined why I was a teen mom. I have examined why I was an alcoholic. I have examined the feelings about being an alcoholic. I have examined a lot of stuff about me that people would just be like, nope, not even going to look at it. But I didn't start there. I started with, you know what? I want to manifest a better life. So I'm going to start looking where I can. And all of that momentum leads up to the difficult conversations. They lead up to the difficult challenges. They lead up to the traumas and the history and all that wonderful stuff. But if you already said, nope, not going to do it, you're dead in the water. You're not going to manifest what you want. Or at the very least, you're going to manifest it, but you're totally going to lose it because those old patterns that are playing in the background, they're going to keep happening and you're going to wind up losing the thing that you want so bad, which to me, that pain is worse than never having it. Because that's really painful. So that's one way. The second way in which you can also be blocking your manifestations with this, your willingness to see is saying, I'm only going to look at the surface of it. Yeah, I'm willing to look at it, but only surface deep. You got to go deep eventually. You might start out surface, but you got to go deep. You have to continually be looking at what is it that you want. What is it that is stopping you? What are the behaviors? What are the patterns? What are the challenges you've been through? And being able to dissect all of it all the time. You cannot go around like this, like, I don't see anything in my periphery, just right here. You have to want the 360 view. You have to want everything to be illuminated in your life. And then the third way, which to me is like the more sinister way in which you block yourself, is you're like, yeah, willing to go all in. And then all of a sudden it gets hard and you're like, I'm going to take a break and I'm not going to do it. Now, breaks absolutely are needed sometimes. Okay. But it's when it's an avoidance pattern. It's when it's a pattern that is preventing you from actually going deep. And you have to ask yourself, am I even willing to look at this pattern? Am I willing to see this pattern? Am I willing to expose this pattern for what it is that's keeping me where I am? So, be, do, have, promise you, all of that falls in line with what do you see? What do you see in your life? Okay. Willingness to shift. This is where we're at. So now that we have seen our capacity, our traumas, our challenges, our life, our future, our present, our past, all of it, now that we've been like, yes, I want to see. Now we have to think about what is it that we're willing to shift? And again, I am not a proponent for all of a sudden massive shifts. Like if you want to shift that way, that's wonderful. More power to you. But for the rest of us that really have a hard time with change, with habits and, shifting to a new destiny, then, this for me is the way to do it. So I will say there have been times in my life that have completely 180'd my life. The day I got sober, I had a moment where this laser beam from God came into my brain and was like, hey, what if I can't actually control my drinking? Never had the thought again, never had the thought in my life. Never thought the problem was me. Everybody else was the problem. Everybody else couldn't hang. Everybody else was square. Everybody else was weird if they didn't drink. Like, to me, I was not the problem. But for the first time in my life, I had that thought, did not see it coming, was not trying to change, was not trying to get sober, was not trying to do it. But I had this magical moment where God laser beamed into my brain and said, hey, let's look at the mirror with your drinking. So yes, there are moments of like, aha, moments that like come into your life that completely pivot your life. Moments of, hey, my house burned down. Now I have to like live this other life doing this other thing. Like, yes, there are points in your life where 180 shifts happen, but those are not the moments we pray for. Those are not the moments that what we pray for is the strength to actually shift our life as best as we can, as quickly as we can with our own self-awareness. So seeing without shifting is just self-awareness entertainment. Okay? It's just entertainment. You're just looking. You're not really seeing, because if you saw, you would know something's got to shift. So, and I've said this plenty of times already, but you don't go from 0 to 100 like that. For some people, that's possible. But let's say that you're trying to go from reactive to peaceful. Now, I've said it before, like I've always struggled with my anger. And my default was to be like quick with it. Like I could, like if you started an argument with me, God bless you, because honestly, I was gonna eviscerate you. Didn't matter if you were my mom. Didn't matter if you were my boyfriend. Didn't matter if you were my kid. Oh my God. I promise you, I was going to obliterate you, because that's just how I was. That's just the type of person that I was. 12 years it took me to master this. 12 years. And it wasn't that I didn't want to. It was that this was how it went down, right? First, it was acknowledging that I wanted to change my ways. Even acknowledging that, hey, something needs to change in me. Oh my God, I'm feeling really bad. oh my God, wait a minute. I'm starting to feel angry again. I know I'm going to get to a tipping point. Oh, hold on. Let me take 1 second before I react. Hold on. Let me take 2 breaths before I react. Hold on. I'm just going to say, let me go into the other room and take a minute so that I can catch my breath and then I react. Let me take 5 minutes. Let me take a half a day. Let me take a day. Let me not mention anything because you know what? It's not even worth it. You know what? This actually upset me and I need to process that. If I could get some time, that would be the best. Thank you. And then coming at it with love. 12 years, but it's possible. Now, again, you're not going to shift from 0 to 100 like this with some areas of your life, but it's the not quitting part that comes in. So it's the 1% shift. When it comes to business, are you undercharging? You're not going to go from charging $25 for a coaching session to $50,000 for coaching sessions. There's a whole bunch of self-worth work that needs to happen there. There's a whole bunch of marketing shifts and PowerPoint shifts and everything shifts that need to happen. That's going to get you to that point, because I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying that the capacity that you have right now is telling you, oh, I'm only worth $25 for an hour. Not 50,000. Yeah, there's work that needs to be done. And it's maybe charging $300. Maybe then it goes to offering a package. Maybe then it's offering an experience. Maybe it's a yearly subscription. But there's so many steps to go from where you currently are to where you would like to be. And the problem with manifestation is that we think we're going to go from 0 to 100 without doing the inner work. That's not how it works. Because if you get the thing that you want without having done the work, it will turn to ash in your hands. It will not be what you want. You will get a version of it that you will be dissatisfied with, unhappy with, and that you could lose. So all of these things is about shifting the 1%. So I feel like I've already gone over this, but we'll continue going on with, so the habits. Now, you cannot manifest the new life while practicing your current life habits. That's just not how it is. So I love this saying is that the things that you're trying to manifest are high vibration manifestations. And if you are a low vibration person, and if you have any low vibration in any sector of your life, you cannot elevate to the high vibration of your manifestation, because you will collapse, and you can't even bring it down to your level because you will collapse that thing. So let's say you would like to manifest money. Who doesn't want to manifest money, right? Oh, you know what? Actually, love is probably better for me to do visually. So let's say you want to manifest a partner and you're ready for love. You've done the work in your romantic area and you're like, yes, you know what? I'm open to giving love, but you know what? My finances are a freaking disaster. And they cause me so much stress, so much pain, so much anxiety. But you know what? I'm ready and open for love. I feel worthy. I feel like I'm ready. And you get a partner and you pull that high vibration manifestation into your life, but you have this low vibration financial energy. That person's going to be like, nope, no, thank you. Or you guys are going to have conflicts around money. You guys are going to have conflicts. And like this thing that should be beautiful gets poisoned. So you can see why that thing that you want collapses. It destroys it. So we have to think about what it is that you're trying to manifest and how you can best support being high vibration in other areas of your life that's going to support the thing. You also have to work with your nervous system. So if you are used to fear and lack, chaos and joy is going to feel so suspicious. Actually, cute story. So when I got with my husband, he is so calm, cool, collected. Like he just does not argue. Like that's just not his style. And me, the feisty Latina coming in, being all rude and angry and like, man, spicy, right? I thought being with him was boring. I'm like, why? Like, we're not arguing. And he was like, why would we argue? Like, the minute he said that to me, I was like, because that's the spice of life. And he was like, no, I hate arguing. Like, why would I argue? Like that does not jive with like a happy relationship. And I'm like, oh, there's another way to live that's not argumentative. What? It's crazy. Yeah. So, to me, what I was interpreting as boring was actually peace in a relationship. And sometimes you need to retrain your nervous system to understand that. So shifting might require some nervous system training. Shifting might require you to interpret things in a different way. Who to thunk, right? Who to thunk? So again, the receivability cascade is who is the version of you that can hold a desire? What do they believe is normal? Who are you? What are your belief systems? Are you looking at them? Are you seeing them? Are you willing to shift them? Are you willing to say, yeah, that doesn't work for me anymore? What boundaries do you set? What language do you need to stop using? Are you willing to look at how you talk to yourself? Are you willing to look at the things that you do? Are you willing to look at the things that you neglect to do? Are you willing to see who you really are and the things that you do? Are you willing to shift your actions? Are you willing to try new things? Are you willing to expand your horizons in your actions? And what are you now available to receive because your identity can hold it? Are you willing to see a future where you've shifted into the fifth dimension? No. Are you willing to see the version of yourself in the future that has shifted? Not because you have to change, but because that version of you no longer served you anymore. Are you willing to see that? Are you willing to shift? Are you willing to do that? Because you don't become that person after you receive it. You become that person so you can receive it. Remember, we always fall into the trap of when I have X, I will feel Y. When I have money, I will feel secure. When I have the partner, I will feel whole. When I have this, I will that. That's the trap. You have to look at the patterns now. You have to look at the mindset now and really lean into, okay, I want to explore all of this and I want to elevate the way that I think about things. I want to elevate the way that I process information, the way that I interact with people, the way that I sell, the way that I love, the way that I mother, the way that I am with my friends. I want to elevate that to a whole new realm. And so, this is where really you're not waiting on the manifestation. The manifestation is waiting on your alignment. It's waiting for you. You want a manifestation. That manifestation wants you more. It's waiting for you to finally come into who you are. It's trying to find the version of you that can hold it. It's trying to find the version of you that is capable of expressing it in this world. So you have to meet your identity to the miracle, not the other way around. So now that you know what it means to be willing to see and willing to shift, everybody, hold on. Before we do this, are there any questions? Thank you. Yeah, I love this top too. Okay. So no questions at this time. So now that you know what your willingness to see is, well, now that you know what willingness to see means, you're going to rate yourself. How willing are you to look at your patterns, your excuses, old loyalties, discernments without judgment? Now, these are very high level topics. So let me make it real for you. How willing are you to look at your ex relationships? How willing are you to look at your failed businesses? How willing are you to look at your traumas? How willing are you to look at your past? How willing are you to look at, the future version of you that doesn't have the things that you want? How willing are you to look at the version of you right now that doesn't have the things that you want? What if you never get it? How willing are you to examine every speck of your life? And 10 is, hey, let's rip the lid off of this and jump right in. And 0 obviously is, I'm not willing to look at it at all. And you can be honest, right? And then now that you know what willingness to shift is, we're going to rate that too. So are you willing to shift your identity? Are you willing to shift your standards, your habits, emotional set point, your daily choices? And let me even push even more here and make it real. So how willing are you to shift your eating habits? How willing are you to shift your emotional patterns with the opposite sex or the same sex? How willing are you to look at your relationship with your children? How willing are you to look at and shift your relationship with your parents? How willing are you to shift your relationship to that one person who you can never forgive? And then score yourself. Now, I don't expect everybody to be at 100 right now. Okay. The goal isn't to be at 100. The goal isn't, if you're not at 100, you're bad. What it is a point of power, because you're always reaching for more. You're always that 1% shift, that 1% reach, that just let me expand just a little bit more. Let me take the next step, because in the next step, then I can see what the next step is. And then after that, I can take that following step. It's not about being perfect right now. Again, it's not about diving headfirst into your traumas. It's not about doing the 180 in all your habits and patterns today. But are you willing to try? Are you willing to do those things? So for me, I'll just answer the question, how willing am I to see? Depends on the day. Some days I'm emotionally vulnerable, so I could be at a 4 or 5. And then there are some days where I'm just like, yeah, I'm ready to get in there, and I'm at a 10. And then there are some days where, yeah, you know what? I'm willing to leave my man, move to Central America, start a whole new life and shift everything. And then there are days where I'm just like, no, I want the comfort of routine, and I just love what I do, and I'm here and I don't want to shift. And this is really dig my heels in, and I'm at like a 1. The thing is to catch yourself. Catch yourself. Where are you today? Catch yourself and see, hey, actually, I want to see more. How can I expand that? Oh, snowball it. Start with something small. Get the momentum behind it and snowball into something bigger. Oh, how willing am I to shift? You know what? I'm going to start to examine things. And you know what? How I actually lost 20 pounds? I love sharing this because I remember I made an entire list of things, of habits that I had surrounding food and exercise that I wanted to change. And I remember thinking, you know what? This is a list of 20 things that I need to change with my relationship to food and exercise, but I can't do it all at once. I'm willing to do one thing this week. You know what? I no longer eat fast food. Okay, that's great. You know what? If you would have told me 7 years ago, was that 7 years ago? Yeah, 7 years ago. If you would have told me 7 years ago that I wouldn't eat sugar, wouldn't eat soy, wouldn't eat corn, no MSG, no fast food, no dairy, no seed oils. Like if you would have told that to me, I'd have been like, what? What are you talking about? Absolutely not. That would have been so far-fetched for me. But it was 1% increments here and there, 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%. If you would have told me, hey, you're going to be going to the gym 6 days a week, working out, lifting weights with all this muscle, like I would have been like, what? Freaking crazy. It's not about having to get to the goal today. It's about seeing. It's about seeing you for really who you are, what you want, what are the things, and making the shifts in a methodical pattern that really aligns with who you are to get the things that you want. And so, as I've mentioned before, the miracle is not asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to be aligned. It's asking you to step into that alignment that is coming back to your soul, that is coming back to who you truly are. So no, you're not blocked. You're just not available yet. And with those two indices, with willingness to see and willingness to share or shift, you can get there. Now, I have created a 21-day experience. And in this experience, I walk you through the process of have, do, be. And it is based on the be, do, have but you know what? None of this is not going to work for you if you're not willing to see, if you're not willing to shift. None of this is going to work because, the email sequence is going to ask for you to dig in. Why do you want what you want? It's going to ask you to look at what are your habits? What are you doing that's in direct conflict with what you want? It's going to ask you to examine, hey, you know what? Here's your belief system that is going directly against what you want. If you're not willing to examine that, don't hit this link because it's not going to work for you. I promise you that. But if you're ready to actually shift, if you're ready to actually dive in deep to a manifestation that you've been dying to have that you just cannot get, follow this link, hit me up. I'm there to help you. You're going to have 3 masterclasses in there that really dive into the principles of be, do, have. I'm going to be there to actually review your manifestations. Like I'm going to be critiquing in a nice, loving way, of course. But again, if you're not willing to see the parts of you that are stopping you from getting you what you want, what are we even doing here? What are we even doing here? You can have every single thing that you want. But it's up to you to put the mirror in front of you. It's up to you to really step into, you know what? I'm done living this way. I'm ready to shift into my fullest potential. Okay, guys, that's it. I'm going to stop here so I can take some live coaching. Let's see. Bye, guys.